What's up, fellas? Back again. That's right. We got a little special episode for you today. Bam! Mystery tackle box. That's right. You know what we're going to do? We're here in Alabama. It's finally warm enough to use what's in this box right here. Let's open it up and see what's in there. I'm going to give you a rundown, a quick rundown on all the lures in here, how to fish them, hopefully catch a couple big old bass on them, show you the do's and don'ts, give you a quick little instruction. So let's check out what's in the box. All right, here we go. I love opening these things up. Boom! All right, here we go. Number one. This is a BD series by Boyd Duckett. It's a little shallow runner, okay? Shallow running crankbait. You know what you do with the shallow running crankbait? You fish it in shallow water, 2 to 4 foot, 5 foot max. You're not gonna get out there and throw a shallow running crankbait over 20 foot of water, okay? This is stuff you're going down the bank, you're fishing around docks, you're fishing around lay down logs. That's a great bait. I'll show you how to rig that up as well. Second thing, pretty cool. Perfect for the springtime, top water. This is a prop bait made by Bagley's. It's a little balsa bait. It's actually an exclusive for MTB, which is really, really cool. So you can only get this one when you subscribe to Mystery Tackle Box. But this is a prop bait. When is that good? That is really, really good during the spring, during the spawn, especially when the bass are up spawning and there's bluegill in the area. Because guess what? That looks just like a bluegill. I'll show you how to rig that and fish that. All right, we have a little drop shot toy here. In the event of a cold front during the spring, you can rig that up on a little drop shot toy, or you could use it as a spinnerbait trailer made by Big Bite Baits. Pretty cool little deal there. Here's a little jig trailer, or you can just rig it up on a jig head and swim it through the water column. Again, this would be good in the spring, maybe when the fish aren't spawning and a cold front has hit. We've had some pretty crazy weather this year, so these baits right here are actually good to have anytime you're fishing, because you never know when it's going to turn cold again. Swim baits, love them, okay? This is a great color, that little blue. I throw swim baits like that all the time. I caught a lot of fish at Smith Lake. I caught a lot of fish at Lanier on this bait right here. I'll show you how to rig that. It's really easy, either on a jig head, a weedless hook, or you could even put it on the back of a spinnerbait. All right, speaking of spinnerbaits, springtime, there's hardly anything better than a spinnerbait. When to fish a spinnerbait in cloudy, windy conditions. If it's dead slick calm like today, not the best spinnerbait conditions, but nevertheless, it's a great spring bait. Now, let's get to it, guys. Let's get to it. Let's tie these things on. Oh, I brought a special guest today, too. You know who my special guest is? Come on over, special guest. First time on the MTB channel. Billy got a bass. What's up? All right, the first bait I'm gonna run through is this little Bagley's prop bait. Again, that's a great bait when it's calm like this, springtime, obviously when the bass are up shallow spawning or bluegill are spawning. Little bluegill imitation works great. I like to rig it up on a short rod. I'm not gonna rig this up on a 7.6 flipping stick. I'm gonna rig it up on, this is a 6.9 medium action rod. Got it rigged up on. You can throw heavier line here. You can even throw braid if you want to, but I like just a regular monofilament. This is P-line monofilament. Floats, it's really, really good. I like 15 or 17 pound test. The reason I want a short rod is because I want to try to make accurate casts up around these bushes, some of these lay down trees, and I want to be able to make real accurate casts, so a short rod is important. Now, working a prop bait is very important. You know, I've given these baits to people before, and a lot of times they don't know what to do with it. So a lot of times they'll throw it out there and they're ripping it crazy, or they're just reeling it in straight like a buzz bait. But I like to just basically pop my slack line a lot like a jerk bait. I don't want that bait to move, but I want those props to make a lot of noise. But the key is to not let that bait move forward too far. I can see that there's a little shallow ridge right there, and I see some glowing spots, and those are most likely either bass beds or bluegill beds. So make a long cast out there. I'm landing up in some shallow water. Now watch how I work this. Twitch it. See the slack in my line? Slack in my line? I'm not popping it on a tight line. That bait's on, oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. Oh, he pulled off. Oh, dude, that was great. First cast, but I'm popping my slack. Why did I miss that fish? Oh my gosh. There's bluegill beds right there. I can see the glowing spot. And again, what I was getting at is it's popping your slack, okay? That bait's not moving, but about 1 inch at a time. And I pop it down. I don't pop it up, I pop it down. And your cadence, you just play with it a little bit. Typically, kind of slow, you know, pop it, let it sit, you know, keep it in that strike zone. I don't really ever work it real fast. I'm not opposed to working it faster, but I typically like a single pop and let it sit. Single pop, let it sit. Maybe a double pop every once in a while. dude. Oh man.
You should yank it. Is it in me?
Yeah. Dude.
I don't think it's bad.
Bad, dude. Blood coming out. Hang on. I just thought too. I almost said right before that, let me know when you walk right behind me. And then I didn't say it, but I knew you were behind me. And I thought, well, I'm not going to hit him with that cast. Man. Woo. Look at that nice little, right up there, all that little sandy stuff. If you can see it or not. Probably some bluegill beds up there. There's one. All right. There we go. Let me power pull down. Boy, not big like the other one, but still, it's a bass. See that little shallow spot right there? That's where that fish came from. Now, that's just a small one, but this time of the year, especially if the bass are done spawning, they'll hang out around those bluegill beds to feed up on the bluegill. So, pretty cool little bait. One down, a couple more to go. There it is. There's a lot of similarities with the rod and all that. So, if you have a really good topwater rod, like I just had right there, you can rig this spinnerbait up on the same rod. You want a shorter rod, you know, again, 6'9", 7 foot max. Again, that monofilament will work great. 15-pound mono is perfect for a spinnerbait. And a spinnerbait, again, is really, really good on, it's even better on cloudy conditions, you know, if it's raining or if it's really windy. It's really weedless. It's going to come through the cover. It's going to come through the cover really, really good. And this is a good color. You know, you go in the store and there's all kind of colors to choose, right? There's chartreuse ones, there's red ones, there's all kind of different colors. But your standard spinnerbait, you know, your white, double willow leaf, little silver blade, little gold blade, that's a great little combination. So that's a perfect one for up shallow. If I was fishing out deep and maybe slow rolling a spinnerbait like I did at Cumberland, then you might want a heavier one, like a 1/2 ounce or even a 3/4. But for up shallow, like we're here on this lake, this little spinnerbait right here should work great. And again, 15-pound line, 17-pound line, a shorter rod. This is the same one I had the top water on, so it's perfect. Let's see if we can catch a nice one on this. All right, spinnerbait tip. You know, a lot of times you ask somebody, how do you fish a spinnerbait? A lot of people will say, you just cast it out and reel it in. And that's pretty much true. But I like to give my spinnerbait a little character throughout the cast, okay? What do I mean by character? What I mean by character is just changing the angle of the rod throughout the cast, maybe giving it slight pauses, maybe give it a little twitch every once in a while. Don't overdo it. Don't sit there and just too much character, but you want to give that spinnerbait just a little bit of some erratic action throughout the cast, and that really triggers this fish to bite it a lot of times, instead of just reeling it straight back to the boat. So I'll pop my rod. Oh, there's one right there. What is that, a bluegill? Got a bluegill. Looky there. Funny thing about a bluegill is when they hit, you think at first you get a big one because they're so wide that they pull really hard right at first. Now, speed of retrieve, I pretty much like to slightly see my spinnerbait. I don't want it right on the surface. I don't want it like way up in the water column like that, and I don't want it way down where I can't see it. I want to see those blades flashing just a little bit so I can physically see the spinnerbait still. I'm just kind of giving that rod just a little bit of some action. I might just stop it just for a split second every once in a while. It just changes that flash pattern. It makes the bait move around a little bit. Because imagine a shad in the water, right? If a shad was swimming by, it's not just going straight and steady the entire time. It's swimming, it's kind of moving around a little bit and doing some things. So that's the little tip that will help you catch more fish for sure. The other thing is, if you're fishing a lake and there's just not a lot of wind that day, and you want to throw a spinnerbait because you think that might be a good thing to do, then find the windy side of the lake. You know, if we go, we're on the, oh God, he wrecked it. I watched him hit it. But we're on the windy side of the lake. If we're on the other side, it's going to be dead slick calm. It'd be better for the top water and not so good for the spinnerbait. Right here. Now with the spinnerbait, I'll throw it way up shallow, and I want to get as close as I can to whatever cover I can come down by, you know, a stump, the edge of a dock post, lay down, whatever. I want to try to snuggle that thing up as close as I can. Seem to get more bites right next to something. And it's really pretty weedless. So that's something you'll want to do, is really focus on trying to get close to the targets. A little place like this is perfect. Little stumps everywhere. Come right by that stump right there. Yeah, that should have been a bite. That should have been a bite. There he is. There he is. All right. Not a big one, but he was right where I said he was going to be. I don't know if there's big ones in this lake or not, but spinner bait equals bass. So anyways. It really is just a perfect size for shallow water. And catch a big one.
Oh. Got one?
Oh, it's a big one, dude. Big one. Oh, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Billy's hit. Billy, you hit, man. Oh my goodness, can he get him? Dude, how about that? How about that, Mr. Big Fish? That's nice.
5.5?
Yeah, he's skinny. He's a post-spawn.
Yep.
Post-spawn fish. Good job, dude.
Thanks, man.
Good job. Here, you let him go.
I should.
That's why I brought you, man.
I should get a picture for Instagram.
Hey, mystery tackle box. You need to put that bait in upcoming box, right? That's a pretty good one. All right, so spinnerbait's gonna go back in the box. It works good. This little shallow run crankbait. I'm gonna go ahead and stick with the shallow stuff right now because we're back in this little pocket. This right here would be really, really good to try around these areas right here as well. So again, the good thing about those three baits, I can pretty much fish them on the same rod. And that's important. So you don't have to go out and spend a whole bunch of money buying a whole bunch of different rods for those baits right there. They're gonna work great on what we have. So again, a 6.5 to 7 foot rod, 15 pound, 17 pound line for this square bill will be good. Now, little quick tip for you. If I'm fishing really shallow, like I want this bait to stay in like 1.5 foot of water, then you know what I do? I put it on heavier line. Put it on like 20 pound line. You know, not 25, but 20. If I wanted to go a little deeper, then I'm gonna throw that 15. I'm not gonna go much below 15 typically. 12 would be absolute bottom, but 15 to 20. Again, 20 if I want the bait to stay real shallow. 15 if I wanted to get down there when I need it to 3 to 4 foot. So we've got it rigged up on 15 right now, and there's some stumps out here that I think we can crawl this thing by. The good thing about a crankbait too, the square bill, it deflects. That's why they call it a square bill. Obviously it has this square bill, so this bill hits the stumps, hits the logs, different things like that, and it's pretty weedless. I mean, it's still going to get hung up, but for the most part you can crank it through a lot of stuff. I see something pretty cool. All right, watch this, guys. I see a good one on the bed right here. Now, I've got a square bill in my hand. I don't know if he'll hit it, but it's a big one. See if he bites. Got her, dude. Oh my gosh, that was freaking cool, dude. That was cool, that was cool, that was cool. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm gonna need some help, dude. It's a giant. It's an absolute monster. It's an absolute monster. Ooh. Oh. Dude, that was so cool. Be careful. Yeah! What? Was that awesome or what?
I can't even hold it.
Dude, it's like an 8 big. That was pretty good stuff right there. That is a big one. Now, how did I catch that fish? I threw that crankbait in there and I actually caught it. It was swimming. The crankbait was reeling. I was reeling it through the water. It started chasing it down. And that fish bit it. Dude, that was awesome right there. Dude, that's a big one. That's really stupid. How you like that, guys? What? All right, that was pretty epic right there. That was one of the top 5 fish catches in my career just because I could see the fish and it was such a non-traditional way of catching one off off a spawning bed. That was pretty cool. Catch him on a crankbait. So let's move on to something else. Let's see what's in that box. I have a feeling now we're gonna have to get offshore just a little bit. Maybe try some of those swim baits, try some of those grubs. But we could put a swim bait, being that these fish are up shallow, on a swim jig, which would work good too. So let's play around with that a little bit. All right, now moving on to the swim bait. A couple ways to rig this. Number one way that I catch a lot of fish, like at Lanier, Smith Lake, places like that, rigging it up on either a 1/4 ounce or a 3/8 ounce jig head, open hook, getting out open water, which we could do that here, but we just caught 2 big fish up shallow, so I kind of want to stay up shallow. So let me show you how we'd use this bait in a shallow situation. All right, so in a shallow situation, there's a couple options here. One is you could rig it on a weedless hook. You could do that, a belly weighted hook like I do swim baits down to Okeechobee. That would work great. Or you can use this as a trailer for your swim jig. Okay, and that's what I'm going to do for now. If this doesn't work, we might rig it up weedless, but I think the swim jig would be perfect for it. This little 5/16 swim jig right here. Rig it up good and straight. Perfect. That right there. Swim jigs, you know, I like to rig them basically on 12 to 15 pound line. Now, if I'm fishing down in Florida, I'm gonna throw straight braid, 50-pound braid. If you're in Texas around a lot of stumps, you can throw straight braid. Just kind of really depends on the watercolor, but for the most part, you can get away with whatever size line you want. This is, actually this is 15-pound fluorocarbon, and I like that. Got it again on a medium heavy rod. This is a 6.9. When I'm up shallow, I like a shorter rod again for accurate cast, but let's see if we can get a big one on that. All right, swim jig. You know, again, it's the springtime. These fish are up shallow. So I'm gonna just cruise the banks a little bit, throw it visible cover, try to find a stump or two out off the bank. Swim jig is pretty much like a spinnerbait. I'm gonna retrieve it, steady retrieve. I'm not gonna kill it much. Steady retrieve back to the boat, and I'm gonna give it just a little bit of character again. So again, just really a lot like a spinnerbait. It's very, very weedless. Comes through a lot of stuff. And I do want to see it a little bit. I want to just barely see it. So I like my swim jig. When I'm up shallow like this, you know, a foot to 18 inches below the surface. Keep my rod up. I don't keep it down. It's not like this. A crankbait, I keep my rod down. Swim jigs, I keep my rod up. And I'm ready for strike position. Got her? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Man, that was her, dude. Go to the side of the boat. Ah! You're gonna get her in the engine. Go to the other side of the boat. Oh my gosh. I ain't helping you.
She came off.
Dude, what are you? All right, this is another tip. This is a tip not about baits. I'm gonna give you some grief on that one, dude.
For real?
Yeah. You got the whole side, the fish is on this side trying to go this way, and you're pulling her this way, and you got the engine and the power poles. No, she was going that way. You switch sides and then bring her around.
Why you gotta film this part?
Because it's a tip that maybe somebody didn't know, they might make a mistake. It's a good thing that you did that, because these videos are about helping people, Billy. They're about helping people.
So giving me grief is helping me.
Yes.
It's hard lessons.
Swim jig's perfect for going down a bank like this. You can skip it. Swim jig will skip. That little bait, that little swim bait on the back of it gives it enough weight that you can skip it up underneath things. Like, watch this. Oh yeah, right up in the junk. That's when you get blasted. What was that? Oh, watch out. Look at that, look at that. Like Instagram, right there. Got her. Oh! Dude! Dude!
What that is a good lesson. So you gotta let that fish take that bait down and then set the hook.
Shut up, Billy. I will say this. This rod right here, for the size fish we're dealing with now, I didn't know there was big ones in this lake. I probably need to put this on more like a 7-foot heavy. This is a medium heavy. A little bit too light of a rod. Can't drive that hook as good, but maybe she'll bite again. I don't know. He's going fast. Oh, he's not a big one. He's not a big one. He ran at me. Now, that's another tip right there. This thing's full of tips. All right, swim jig accomplished. We did it, okay? Nice one. Lost that big one back there. High speed reel. This is an Akuma 8-to-1 reel. And if I wouldn't have had an 8-to-1 right there, I would have not landed that fish. That thing was going 100 miles an hour at me, and I was reeling as fast as I could to keep up with him. But that's the advantage of having a high speed reel. It's not that you can reel your bait fast. It's so that you can set the hook and reel up the line quickly and land a fish that does that. So, good stuff. All right. We accomplished it. We accomplished it. Let's take a look at a couple more baits. See a couple other ways of rigging some of these things, and we're gonna call it a day. It's good stuff. All right. I'm gonna not physically fish with this bait, but I'm gonna tell you how you're gonna rig this. This is basically a spinnerbait trailer, okay? Or you could rig it up on like a little 1/4 ounce jig head, open hook, and just reel it through the water column. You could catch fish on that. Probably gonna throw that on a spinning rod. You know, I like rigging my spinning rod with braid, like the P-line braid, and then putting 8 or 10 pound fluorocarbon on it, and just casting out that, reeling that back steady through the water column. Now this little bait right here, it's Big Bite Baits. It's a little finesse toy. You know, that's great for a drop shot. You could put that on a little shaky head. I do have a little shaky head rigged up. I'll rig that up and see if we can't catch a few fish on it. But you could also use that as a spinnerbait trailer, okay? So there's lots of uses for that little dude right there. Again, offshore, if it gets a little cold, those fish move out. Drop shot, shaky head, or put it on the back of a spinnerbait. I wouldn't put that on the back of a swim jig because it doesn't have much action. This is what you would call a finesse bait with no action. So use it on a spinnerbait because the blades turn. So let's give those a shot. Rig it up on a little shaky head. See if we can catch one more. We'll call it a day. All right, so that's how I'm gonna rig it up. A little 3/16 Ned rig. I'll tell you another thing that this bait would be good for: smallmouth and spotted bass. Okay, they love baits like this. So if you live up north, smallmouth, rig that up like that, little Ned rig, you're liable to really wreck them. So let's see if we can't catch one on that. He's on it. He thumped it. He thumped it. Not a big one. Today we've either caught little tiny ones or great big ones. But that does satisfy what we needed to do, okay? We have caught something on every bait in that box, other than the little grub. But hopefully, it gave you a little education on how to fish these baits. So, well guys, that's a wrap. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this little episode. Hopefully those little fishing tips will help you catch more fish. And a big, huge thank you to Mystery Tackle Box for hooking that box up with baits that catch fish. And so anyways, guys, here's what I want you to do. Do me a favor, huge favor. Jump over, hit the subscribe button to their YouTube channel. Obviously, jump over to their Instagram, their Facebook page, check it out. And if you want to get a subscription to the Mystery Tackle Box, be sure to follow the link down below. Go to their website, sign up for it. You'll get this box full of brand new, cool fishing lures. So, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing to Mystery Tackle Box. We'll see you. Bam!